So we're done, Harry. The door is slammed shut. Indeed, I'd be happy if you never came back to this country again.
Meghan Markle will be in the UK.
Don't just have egg on their face now, Brittany. They have a whole omelette.
So the Duke of Sussex is in London as we speak. May God help us. Like Britain hasn't got enough problems.
Prince Harry has finally returned to Britain. But before his visit could even properly begin, the entire trip appeared to collapse into chaos.
Even by Harry and Meghan standards, this is a disaster. This is an utter disaster.
Meghan was not beside him when he landed, although reports have continued to suggest that she and the children could still join him later. Then came the real shock. Harry's team briefed that he had accepted an offer to stay at Buckingham Palace. Only hours later, palace sources pushed back and said he would not be staying there after all. One side said the offer had been accepted. The other said Harry had waited too long. And suddenly, instead of talking about Invictus, veterans, or even a possible reunion with King Charles, everyone was asking the same question. How did Harry arrive in Britain without knowing where he would stay?
It puts him in the perfect position that I've said I believe he's trying to be in since day one, which is villainizing his father and being the victim. Again, Harry's always the victim.
This was supposed to be a carefully planned royal return. Instead, it became another Sussex mystery before Harry had even completed his first official engagement. And Meghan's uncertain arrival only made the story even bigger.
Meghan and the children now not coming to London, this is really interesting, but might well fly in and out to visit the late Princess of Wales' grave. I don't know about you, but I think I speak for millions of people when they just say, we're fed up to the back teeth of the psychodrama that you lot bring to this whole royal story.
For days, reports had been changing almost by the hour. First, there was speculation that Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet could travel with Harry. Then it was suggested that Harry might arrive alone while his family joined him later. Some reports claimed Meghan could appear at Invictus-related events outside London. Others suggested the children might visit places connected to Princess Diana and the Spencer family. Nothing appeared settled.
The way that it's been handled is purely about making sure that everything he does and says, and it's all part of the brand, keeps them current. Will they, won't they be part of Buckingham Palace, be at Buckingham Palace? I feel sorry for the king with this because he's been played, I think. The palace have realised too late that he's being played.
Harry's official schedule was moving forward, but the private family plans seemed to keep changing. So when he landed alone, it did not necessarily mean Meghan had completely ruled out coming. But it did mean that Harry had entered Britain by himself, just as a major new battle with the palace exploded around him.
Any hopes of reconciliation between the two men are now dead in the water. It's my understanding that King Charles is furious and insulted, and it demonstrates once again that whenever Harry and Meghan are involved in any public activity, it always ends in bad headlines and misery.
Then came the Buckingham Palace announcement. A report claimed Harry had accepted King Charles's long-standing offer to stay inside a royal residence. The story immediately looked like a major breakthrough. After years of public tension, Harry would be sleeping inside the symbolic center of the monarchy. He would be close to his father. He would have one of the most secure locations in the country. And if Meghan and the children joined later, the visit could suddenly become the biggest royal reunion in years. For a few hours, it looked almost too perfect.
The king this morning said, hell no. Hell no. The door to Buckingham Palace is slammed in your face, Harry, and Meghan too.
Then the palace shut it down. According to palace sources, Harry had not accepted the offer in time. Reports suggested he initially declined it while considering different security arrangements. Then, only after the deadline had passed, he changed his mind and tried to accept.
We gave you plenty of time, and you couldn't come to a decision, and you kind of decide to accept last minute. And you know what? We have other plans. We have a life. Our life does not revolve around you and your needs and your drama and your toxicity and everything like that. And so, no, you know what? You didn't give us enough time. You're on your own.
By that point, officials reportedly told him that the necessary staffing, hospitality, and security plans could no longer be put together at the last minute. Harry's side was said to be disappointed. Palace sources sounded exhausted, and the media was left with two completely different versions of what had happened.
The bottom line here is if any of my kids said, oh, they're going to come and stay with, if my son said he's going to come and stay with me, he'll let me know.
Yeah.
It's just how well you're brought up. You don't, if I offer, say, oh yeah, you can stay, and then nobody responds, then the chances are that they're not going to come.
So was this really about preparing a room? Buckingham Palace is enormous. It has hundreds of rooms. It is protected around the clock. To the public, the explanation sounded almost unbelievable. Surely the king's son could be accommodated somewhere inside that building? But the palace is not a hotel. It is also undergoing major renovation work, and it is not currently operating like a normal lived-in family home.
Freak show is the right word, Brittany. And that is why I am so angry today. Because he's acting like an out-of-control Z-list celebrity who a manager or an agent or a PR would be saying, go to rehab. Like, shut up, go to rehab. You're destroying your own career. But this is not just some showbiz career we're talking about, Brittany.
Harry's arrival would require staff, transport, food, security coordination, controlled entrances, and an entire operation built around someone whose every movement creates headlines. That is the official explanation. But many royal watchers suspected there was something else behind it. The palace had simply lost patience.
The psychodrama, will he, won't he, should he, shan't he? I don't even understand, sorry, I want to put it out there, why he would even contemplate wanting to stay with his kids or not in a house that symbolises an institution that he and his wife called racist, for Christ's sake. The only reason they want that is because of relevance, isn't it? Because the brand's on its backside in America and being seen in a royal residence with the old Netflix cameras looks good. What else?
Harry had reportedly been given time to decide. He did not give a clear answer. Then his team briefed that he was staying there anyway. Hours later, the palace was forced to contradict the story in public.
Prince Harry announces that he's staying at Buckingham Palace, and thank God, for once, Charles puts his foot down and says no. Charles should not be having to deal with this constant nonsense, this total hysteria, this embarrassment of a son when he is conducting his service for the British public, for the Commonwealth, while undergoing treatment.
Whatever happened privately, the result made the royal household look confused. Harry's team looked disorganized, and the entire visit looked like a mess. And this is where Meghan becomes impossible to ignore. Because whether she arrives later or not, her possible involvement reportedly influenced the entire discussion from the beginning.
They are middle-aged teenagers, right?
Oh my
This is what they are. No, but this is exactly what they are. The way that they react, the pettiness, the shallowness, the superficiality, the nonsensical issues about which they get upset. This is the sort of stuff you expect from 16-year-old girls, this sort of behavior, and we're getting it from middle-aged people.
Harry was not only deciding where he would stay, he was trying to work out whether Meghan and the children could travel safely, whether they would remain outside London, and whether they could be brought into a royal residence without creating even more attention.
But here's the question I've got for you. How is it that Meghan and the kids, my husband Archie and Lily, I call him H, how is it that a mansion in Portugal, which is a very wealthy part of Portugal that they live in or that they've got this place in, how is that safer than Buckingham Palace?
The strange part is that staying at Buckingham Palace should have solved at least part of that problem. Few buildings in Britain are more secure. If Meghan and the children were inside, they would be protected by the existing royal security perimeter. King Charles would finally have a chance to see his grandchildren. Harry could attend his events. Meghan could potentially join him later. On paper, it looked like the obvious solution. But Harry reportedly feared the danger was not inside the palace. It was the journey in and out. Known entrances could be watched. Vehicles could be followed. Photographers could wait outside.
The Sussexes are lying about their concerns in regard to royal security. It makes no sense. For example, Harry's saying, yeah, when I'm in London, I'll be on my own, but I might take Megs and the kids up to Birmingham. I mean, it's one country. These that he's worried about, and the stalkers, although I would have thought Harry's stalker has had enough now. I think she's checked out. I think even she's like, look, I'm sick of this guy. Please don't mention Harry's name again.
Once reports revealed that Buckingham Palace was being considered, Harry was said to believe the location itself had become too public. And that raised an uncomfortable question. If secrecy was so important, why were so many details about the trip appearing in the media before Harry had even arrived?
See, if my dad, who was not here, was ill, I wouldn't... Why announce it in the papers? Why not just go and see him? This whole debacle is for publicity. And here's something Kinsey Schofield has been saying for months. 2 words. Thomas Markle. If it's about your grandchildren seeing their grandparents, you've left a man in a hospital and you haven't had words with him for however many years.
The public had been told where he might stay, when Meghan might join him, where the children could travel, which royal properties were being considered, and how his security team was assessing different routes. For someone who has repeatedly argued that publicity creates danger, the amount of information surrounding this visit was extraordinary.
It's all stage managed. Harry's going on about security. He's saying the UK is dangerous. Well, if it's dangerous, you don't announce your plans in the first place.
Some reports even claimed selected journalists were receiving detailed briefings from people connected to the Sussex communications operation. If true, that would create a major contradiction.
Last Friday, Eden writes, they all received a long message confirming details of Prince Harry and Meghan's return visit to Britain. It wasn't just the type of short message they sometimes receive, but a long operational note detailing exactly what the couple would be doing after they landed in the country.
Harry's side was arguing that public information placed the family at risk, while information about the family's movements was still being circulated behind the scenes. So who was creating the danger? Was the palace leaking? Was the Sussex team trying to control the story? Or had both sides become trapped in another briefing war, where every private disagreement immediately turned into a headline?
I think it's all to do with the publicity and to make sure that he has got some currency for his brand.
From the Sussexes' point of view, they're desperate to sort of enhance their royal connections, and staying at Buckingham Palace would have been part of that.
Whatever the answer, Meghan's name remained at the center of the speculation. She had not arrived with Harry at the beginning of the visit, but reports still left open the possibility that she could join him later, especially for events outside London. That meant the story could change again at any moment.
Why is it any different, the security problems in London, to going to Birmingham? You know, that's again the point. He's just as vulnerable, I would assume, if he is vulnerable, in Birmingham. And there will be a level of security always around him. Now, but he wants the bells and whistles, outriders approach to it.
One photograph of Meghan arriving in Britain would completely transform the trip. It would become her first major return in years, a possible reunion with the king, and an enormous media event. And that is exactly why some critics questioned whether the uncertainty itself was helping the Sussexes.
As a reminder, one of the core events that Harry and Meghan officially announced a little over a week ago on Friday was that the two of them would go to the Children's Hospital in Birmingham. Because remember, exploiting sick children in Australia seemed to work pretty well for them. So might as well expand it to Birmingham on another continent as well. And that is surely what they are going to do. We have not heard anything about that visit not going forwards.
Every new possibility created another headline. Meghan might come. Meghan might not come. The children could join later. They could remain in Europe. They could visit the Spencer family. They could attend Invictus. Nothing was confirmed, yet the speculation kept the Sussexes at the top of the news cycle for days. Was this simply a family struggling to make a difficult security decision, or had the confusion become part of the publicity?
Symbol, home of the royal family that you've labelled racist? Well, in my opinion, only because their brand is failing massively and they want to be they need to be attached photographs in America with the royal family.
Meghan's wider public strategy made that question even more interesting. While Harry has repeatedly focused on security, privacy, and the dangers of public exposure, Meghan has been building a brand through carefully selected photographs, social media content, product launches, and controlled appearances.
The biggest threat that Harry has really is the woman that he is in his home. I mean, Meghan is the one that needs all this attention. She needs to be the one who looks aligned with the royal family. They should never have announced this. This should have never even been out into the mainstream. We've seen Harry travel before. We've never known how he got there until he was actually there.
Harry's public message is often about pulling back from attention. Meghan's business depends on remaining visible. Two completely different strategies were now colliding during the same trip. And there was another reason royal watchers kept bringing Meghan back into the conversation.
Hopefully the king will wise up, because nothing that this couple do, separately or together, ever leads me to think that there isn't some motive behind it, or there's a camera crew behind a tree, or they're trying to get a deal, Rob. Do you know what I mean?
A return to Britain would not be a normal appearance for her. It would immediately connect her public image to the monarchy again. The one connection that still creates more attention than any product launch or lifestyle campaign.
not to mention Meghan's stability as she seizes the opportunity to exploit this newsworthy soap opera.
God, what am I going to do? I'm going to sneak some was never into my bag and give it to the king, and I'm going to launch this new lavender honey. I mean, it's gross.
Even a brief appearance near Harry, Charles, or an Invictus event would dominate photographs around the world. Critics therefore wondered whether Meghan was genuinely hesitant to return, or whether her team was waiting for the exact moment that would create the greatest impact.
So now he's looking for something to do. They burnt their bridges in the United States. People have seen them for what they are. They're not making money anymore. They need to make money to pay for their lifestyle. How they're going to do this is anybody's guess. The closer they can get to the British royals, to the family, the more the Americans will say, yeah, well, they're still close to the family. We can still use them.
There was no confirmation of any calculated plan, but the constant uncertainty allowed that suspicion to grow. The longer nobody knew what she would do, the more valuable her eventual decision became. If Meghan eventually arrives, the cameras will follow every move. If she stays away, questions will continue about why Harry is once again facing Britain alone.
Called the British royal family racist. So why is it when the jam orders dry up that what they want is to be seen, or a picture or some news about, as you said, they're still close to the royal family? I think you've nailed it, Dickie. I don't think the royal family are close to them. I think that they have made their beds, and I think that lying in it, they've suddenly realised it's not as good as they hoped it would be. And I suspect that the entire royal family has massive reservations, because whenever they come or whenever there's a meeting, it's released to the press. There's always somebody on behalf of them.
Either outcome creates a story, and both keep the focus on her. But the palace drama became even more sensitive because of Harry's court case.
Harry's team said one of the reasons the palace gave them was that his court case is, we're going to get that verdict on Tuesday. That puts the king in a very uncomfortable situation yet again with the verdict. Harry wins or loses this court case and does either the defiant, angry speech or the victory lap outside of Buckingham Palace, and using the king's home and that landmark, that staple, for whatever it is, whether it's a bitter tirade or if he wanted to gloat. That just can't happen, Kevin. Harry is no longer a member of this institution in the way that he used to be, and he would take advantage of that opportunity. He would use that platform. He would use that beautiful building to stand there and bark. Whatever happens will happen.
Harry arrived in Britain while waiting for a major judgment in his legal fight against Associated Newspapers, the publisher of the Daily Mail and Mail, on Sunday. He has accused the publisher of using unlawful methods to obtain information about his private life. The publisher has denied those allegations. The timing created a nightmare for the palace.
King Charles may have just saved the British royal family if the monarch had allowed Prince Harry to stay at Buckingham Palace despite all of his threats. Over the past couple of weeks, I honestly believe it could have led to the beginning of an existential crisis for the royal family.
Imagine Harry had been staying at Buckingham Palace when the judgment was delivered. If he won, he could have made a triumphant statement while living inside the king's official residence. If he lost, he could have delivered an angry response from the same location. Either way, the palace would instantly become part of a legal battle involving the British press.
And they want to try and sort out their money. But in the meantime, they're trying to play the victims here. And it's just a tobacco. I mean, the whole thing is a mess. It's like they're agents of chaos, they've been described as.
Harry may no longer be a working royal, but images of him entering Buckingham Palace would suggest royal approval, royal protection, and royal proximity. Even if Charles had nothing to do with the case, the symbolism would be impossible to ignore.
The whole thing is just a mess. And Harry needs to start to take a long, hard look at himself, but I'm not sure he's capable. That's the problem. And it's just gone on and on. And finally, I think the royal household just snapped and said, enough's enough.
That is why some reports suggested the court judgment may have made officials even more uncomfortable with the arrangement. Harry's team reportedly questioned that explanation. They argued that the palace already knew when the judgment was coming, so why make the offer at all? Why allow discussions to continue and then withdraw the accommodation when Harry finally accepted? Again, two sides, two stories, no clear agreement, and in the middle of it all was King Charles.
Continues to report that Harry might still bring the children over, and their excuse is because he told the children they could come, and they're so excited. Again, positioning King Charles as the bad guy, because Harry's father of the year. He wants to bring the kids over because the kids really want to see the UK. But, you know, if things don't work out, it's because of his mean dad. And that's just not reality.
For years, reports have suggested the king wants some form of relationship with Archie and Lilibet. He has seen very little of them, and a visit to Britain could have created a rare opportunity for a private family moment. That is why the possibility of Meghan and the children joining later still matters so much.
He's been using those kids as emotional blackmail.
But Charles is not only Harry's father, he is also the monarch. He cannot simply order the government to give Harry the security arrangement he wants. Those decisions are handled through official processes. Harry has repeatedly appeared to hope that his father could somehow influence the outcome, but any visible intervention could create constitutional and political problems for the king.
He wants self-importance. You didn't want anything to do with the monarchy, man. So stop wanting the stuff that comes with it when you're not putting in the hard yards and working for it.
Let's be honest, his wife's fallen out with her family, and Harry's now fallen out with his family.
Well, I'd like to say one thing to you, 2 words, and Kinsey said it for a month. Thomas Markle, if you're so concerned with your grandchildren seeing that their grandfather, try your father, or is it because Harry's father's the King of England?
That leaves Charles in an almost impossible position. As a father, he may want to see his son and grandchildren. As king, he cannot allow private family pressure to control government decisions. And after years of interviews, accusations, books, legal battles, and leaked conversations, even a private meeting carries a risk. What would remain private? What would appear in the media? Would one conversation become another public dispute days later?
Harry is just desperate for relevance now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's going to fade away and disappear unless he can create more drama, make himself relevant, and get another series on.
But does he not? But does he not know? I mean, you'd agree with this, Belly. The more people aren't going, oh, poor Harry. They're going, you're just playing games, man. The world is. You know this, Rupert. Matt knows this. I know it. There's real things happening in the world, and people just go, you entitled, arrogant. That's what they think.
Some reports suggested Charles would not rearrange his schedule for a last-minute meeting with Harry alone. The king already had public engagements and private appointments. Palace sources described the entire situation as tiring and said there would be no sudden changes simply because Harry's plans had shifted again.
Sideshow freak show that is Sussex land at this point. Harry and Meghan are just the sideshow freak attraction of the monarchy, but unfortunately, they kind of tend to drag the headlines and drag the family into their melodrama, and the only way for the family to avoid that, the British royal family, is to just cut them off and set them loose.
That sounded like a warning. If Meghan and the children arrived, Charles might have a powerful personal reason to find time, but if Harry came alone after weeks of confusion, the king was reportedly less willing to drop everything. So was the palace setting a boundary? Or was Charles sending Harry a message that the days of last-minute royal access were over?
The king has made the decision that if Harry does not bring the children over, he will not make any changes in his diary to just see Harry for a one-on-one meeting with Harry if Harry chooses to not bring the children.
The situation also created questions about Harry's real goal. Was he simply coming to support Invictus? Was he hoping to rebuild a relationship with his father? Was he trying to prove that Britain remained unsafe for his family? Or was this visit designed to show that the palace had rejected him again?
Well, hey, I'll tell you who else. Let me tell you who else is seething right now, Kevin.
Yeah.
The Invictus leadership. This trip was supposed to be about the veterans. This trip was supposed to be a kickoff to the 1 year in Birmingham for the Invictus Games.
So for Harry, this is just another example of his stupidity.
Because once the accommodation story exploded, Harry was placed in a familiar position. Disappointed, excluded, and publicly fighting the institution he says he wants to reconcile with. The more he talks about peace, the more conflict appears around him.
If my dad was ill, I would come and see my dad without making a big fuss about it. He's making a big fuss about it because it's their oxygen. That's the truth.
And Meghan's possible later arrival adds another layer. If she joins him after the palace dispute, will she be walking into a family reunion or into the middle of an even bigger royal war? If she does not come, will Harry's team say the palace and security arrangements made the visit impossible? Either way, the responsibility could once again be pushed toward the royal household. That is why critics believe the palace is becoming more cautious.
Madam Nightmare, she's not coming to London because it's not safe, but it's safe to go to either Birmingham for the Invictus launch or to go to Northamptonshire to see Diana's grave. So who made that decision, that if they're going to be allegedly under pressure or attacked or whatever, who says that they're not? It's ridiculous. It is a game,
Well,
right?
there is no pre-planning gone on here. It's all a load of nonsense. And you're telling me, well, they're somewhere, I think, are they with Elton John or in Portugal or whatever they're doing? So that's more secure than, a royal palace that they didn't accept.
A simple offer of accommodation turned into days of headlines. A possible reunion became a public argument. An Invictus visit became a debate over royal privilege. And a private family decision became an international spectacle. Meanwhile, the reason Harry was supposed to be in Britain was almost forgotten. Invictus should have been the main story.
Reflected on Invictus today, this week, because of Prince Harry's actions, because Prince Harry has made this a circus. We are, and it's my understanding that Invictus leadership was already not thrilled about the idea of having to deal with Meghan in London or Birmingham. And now they're especially distraught over the way Harry has handled this over the last few weeks, because it distracts from in a really negative way, from their ultimate objective, which is to protect these veterans.
Harry was preparing for events connected to the Birmingham Games. The focus should have been on wounded and injured service personnel, the competitors, and the future of the organization he helped create. Instead, the headlines were about where Harry would sleep. Would Meghan arrive? Would the children come? Would Charles see them? Had Harry accepted the palace offer? Had the palace withdrawn it? Was security the real problem? Was the court case the real problem? Had the king finally lost patience? The Sussex drama swallowed the entire visit before the work had even begun. And that may be the most damaging part of all.
Media circus, because 1 minute they're coming, they're not coming. 1 minute they're staying, they're not staying. Where is he? Could be in an Airbnb somewhere in London. Who knows where he is? But why not put a focus on his good work and stop all these games that he seems to play?
I don't disagree with you. I'm not sure what good work.
Every time Harry returns to Britain, he says he wants the focus to be on serious causes. Yet the same pattern keeps repeating. Security arguments, palace briefings, family accusations, questions about Meghan, conflicting reports, and another chance at reconciliation disappearing under a mountain of drama. Harry arrived alone, but Meghan's shadow was everywhere. Her possible arrival remained one of the biggest questions. Her relationship with the palace shaped the atmosphere. Her absence changed the meaning of the trip, and whether she appears later could still completely rewrite the story. For now, Harry is in Britain without royal accommodation, without a confirmed family reunion, and without any certainty that his father will change his plans to see him. What was supposed to look like a return has started to look like another rejection. But the story is not over. Meghan could still join him later. The children could still appear outside London. Charles could still agree to a private meeting. And the palace could still find a way to stop this visit from becoming a complete disaster. Yet one thing is already clear. Before Harry had even begun explaining why he came back, the palace and the Sussexes were already fighting over what happened behind closed doors. And the more they tried to control the story, the more chaotic it became.